must have been, yeah, that was race 5. Is that right? From
That was race
Alpha?
5 from Fleet Alpha. We're going to go and quickly see if we can catch another Fleet race 5. Right now, up on your screens, you can see that it's Chico who is temporarily in the lead for tonight. We will have those results confirmed with you a little bit later. Charlie is not running right now, so we're going to wait until...
Bravo's about to start.
Let's wait until Bravo starts, and we'll get into that. Bravo will have a Sere Miguel Cruz, also known as Cruzolator from LDLN team. Haven't seen a lot of him yet tonight, but we know always to expect him at the highest level. Pepito and Cias.
Everybody's done 4 races, and at least one fleet has scored 5. So there's a pretty significant update in the results now. With Chico is in first with 8. Lucas Moore is in second with 9. Stipe Coach has 11. And Asere recovered from those 2 6 that we watched, and he got a third, a second, and a fourth after that, and is now in fourth with 15 points. So 9 boats with under 20 points. So a very competitive early bit here.
Yeah, it will be hard to fight their way out of that field of those top 10 boats. Whoever's going to finish out on top is going to have to put down some serious results and not mess up. Doesn't have to necessarily finish first, but a 10th or worse place is definitely not going to help them in their evening's results. Now, there will be a discard. I believe it's after the 8th race. I may be making...
They're showing a discard after 5, so...
All right, yeah, so starting on the 6th race. All right. We're going to start Bravo as soon as it's ready, as soon as we can jump into the lobby, just to let you know.
Chico's finishes, I think, are the most impressive here. He hasn't finished a race in worse than 3rd place so far.
Very consistent sailor out of Cascais, Portugal. SB20 sailor. And currently in the lead.
In fact, he won. Ranking. They just updated that, and he actually won the 5th race as well. So he has 3 firsts and 2 thirds. Holds a 3-point lead, but also has room for a discard. So this is a pretty significant.
This is looking good for him. But Lucas Moore is still also very close and doesn't seem to be having a lot of trouble with his F50 tonight. Here we go. Bravo is starting up. We're going to go into that race right now.
Stipe Coach will be somebody to watch in here. Asere, of course, as well.
I believe that's the Stipe Coach right now doing little circles right in front of the start line. Letting all the other boats jostle in the back. He knows exactly where he wants to start, and he's waiting for the other boats to get underway to jibe around. There we go. In. Very interesting start.
We didn't mention Pepito either when we were talking about, who's currently maybe the best in the game, and I think
Tim Carpentier, yes, out of France. Pepito is definitely a player who really impressed us last season at the ESailing World Championship and ESailGP events. Saw him always at the very highest level there.
Stipe Coach again with a very good start in second.
Ramon, though, managing to extend here about 100 meters ahead, just really in an instant.
Ramon is in 9th place right now. He has been very consistently in the top 8. He has 18 points at the moment. So they're in a huge right-hand shift now. The question is when and how hard will the left come in as they come up the course here. I think you have to be pretty happy if you're Stipe Coach. Ramon in a pretty controlling position over both of them. Stipe Coach is taking a little bit of a flyer and going pretty hard right, attacking in the middle of the course, which you don't see very much.
And into a header.
The right is going to come. he sniffed out this righty, and it may end up really working out for him. That was a great play by Stipe coach. Oh, not quite enough though.
There we can see Ramon managing to
a little battle here for room.
Who's gonna get room at the mark? Will it be Stipe coach? Will it be Ramon? It was Stipe coach.
Very impressive.
That was Luis. I'm sorry. Get the CNS boats always confused. Happened to us 2 weeks ago. My apologies. My apologies to Ramon again. Got him confused with Carlos.
So Lucas, who's obviously in second now and the closest to Chico, drew a penalty up near the windward mark and is in last.
There's this very bad results we were talking about earlier. Pepito also in 10th right now. Can't be happy with that result. Dog Arb's in 12th. And
impressive.
You get one discard, but you don't get two.
That's what's impressive about where Chico's at right now, because his worst finish is a third. So he has the luxury of having a bad finish still, and his score will be very good. Whereas if Lucas finishes, 10th or 11th here, he will have to eat an 11th that he got in race 5. So the top is starting to figure itself out a little bit, which is interesting. Area also in 9th, as you mentioned. So there's a lot of very high-level players in this game that are having rough races. Good for Stipe coach for sure. Much more wind on the right, as you see everybody racing over to the right-hand boundary. Big righty coming. And Ramon just in a very controlling position.
Sailing straight over to that left mark and onto a victory tonight. We know that Chico also won one of the qualifying events of the ESailing World Series. It was the Diamond Cup. That was back in February. There were the 3 events that were qualifying events to the ESailing World Series were the Barracuda Cup, or Barracuda Trophy, I believe. Then it was the Diamond Cup, and then there was the ESailing League Foiling Week. Again, another F50 event. Bart Lambrechts from VIT won the Barracuda Trophy. Diamond Cup, like we just said, was won by Chico, and the Foiling Week had been won by Eduardo from CNS. Also a player we've been seeing tonight, so... These players, those made up those events allowed us to determine who were the top 35 who were going into this ESailing, the first edition of the ESailing World. And then there were 5 players that were decided by the race organizer jury. 5 wild cards who were qualified. Among them was Roxy Joni, I believe. Go back and check that information a little bit earlier. I know it was Roxy Joni was one of the 5 wild cards selected. Interested to see who were the 4 others. I'll be able to tell you that in just a second.
Those qualifying events, they were all very difficult. It was great sailing, really fun.
Did you partake?
Yeah, and in all 3 of them. The foiling one's really hard. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of fleet racing F50s and big fleets. I just end up fouling more than I'd like to. But they were all super fun events and really well run. So it's been exciting participating in some of these server games.
See if there's Charlie just finishing up here, so we're going to bring you the tail end of race number 5 from Fleet Charlie here. Who won? It's WHGBR taking first place. Cube from Belgium taking second. Grease 9 third. Donnie Gillies 4th. Bart Lambrechts 4th. 5th, I'm sorry. And Filippo Lanfranchi, current Leader of the leaderboard is 6th. All right, that's going to change again a lot. These were players who weren't necessarily up on top of the ranking so far. I'm sorry, that was Dottie Gillies taking the first place. Never trust your screen. Never trust the on-screen information.
That's good for Gillies and Green 9. It's good for him as well. He's currently in 11th.
Oh, seem to have a little glitch in the game here. We don't know who got the best start. Ghost Boat got a best start and best average speed. Thank you, game that sometimes always has surprises for us. Even when it's not Easter, it's always got Easter eggs for us. So we're going to head into race 6. We are halfway through this event tonight. Welcome to anyone who just joined us, and thanks for hanging out with us. If you're with us for if you've already been with us for a while. The next couple of races will be crucial in determining who goes on into the medal and super medal race. And it's not a part of a championship or a league. This event is a standalone event. Whoever wins it takes it home, will be the winner of the ESailing World Series F50 event. Of course, there's a general ranking that will go on, but each race, each regatta has its own value. So everyone's here for the win.
Interesting finish. That race that we just watched did change things pretty significantly. Lucas ended up in 11th, and so now has to eat an 11th in his score. And Stipe Coach getting the second is able to throw out an 8th, and he's moved up to second place now, and he's 4 points behind Chico. But again, Chico has his worst finish as a third, so throwing a third out is pretty good. Obviously.
You can live with that. He can probably, sleep soundly after knowing that his worst race of the evening was a third place. But it's not over yet, and he's still got some ways to go.
There's a handful of other boats that I think have a real shot at catching up here. Ramon has sailed very consistently the entire night. He's throwing a 9th out right now, and the first that he got in his last race is quite valuable.
Let's see. I'm going to try to bring you the second half of tonight's leaderboard. It's not necessarily super easy to do, but I might be able to see. We might be able to see. All right. So positions 20 to 40 right now up on your screens. See, it's Carlos Parejo who hasn't been participating. Alcalea here is currently Red Lantern. Luka Koslovic 25th. Deja Vu and Farley not necessarily giving us what we're used to seeing from the VIT team, but could be a fluke, could just be them warming up. Unicorns of Love as well, also performing pretty well, but I'm sure some of their results, they're going to be wondering, they're not going to be happy with all of their results. Put it that way. I'd be happy with any of their results, let's be honest. Racing against any of these boats, if I was just on the leaderboard, I'd be...
Agree.
Exactly.
So I think they're switching the fleets maybe for the third time.
Yes, every 2 races the fleets are redistributed and reassigned.
A lot of familiar names in the top 10, which is great to see. I think because the scoring hasn't been updated with some of the race 6 scores, there's a couple people that are moved a little bit lower. Green 9, for example, is throwing out a Phantom, did not compete.
Yeah, those do not compete on the last race obviously don't count. So far, those are just incomplete results.
Donnie Gillies, also very consistent today. He has won. It's a great example of how sailboat racing works. He has not won a single race, but he's never finished worse than 6th and is pretty firmly in 3rd place right now with 16 points.
We've got him in fifth place with 20 points on our screen currently.
Interesting how that works, right?
Yeah. We might not have the exact same results as you do, or that you guys have them on the end. But yeah, it still could be shuffled up. I don't see Chico changing anything in his results or his way of playing tonight, but there still could be some surprises elsewhere in the results.
The DNC that you have on your screen ended up being scored as that second that we saw.
All right, we're going to try to refresh that quickly before we get started with race number 7.
This is when I really like to see these races become much more interesting at this point, because I think some people are always curious about this. The racers are very aware of what the standings are. The guys at the top have a strong understanding of who's close to them in the standings and what they might need to move up or down. And I think if you're anywhere under 25 points right now, which is the top 10, you're definitely thinking that you have a good chance at a podium finish or maybe even getting into first. So there's a lot of boats that think that there's a long way to go in the regatta, which there is, especially given the fact that the medal races count double. So it'll be an exciting finish to the day.
But you've got to make it to the medal races to be able to see that result change.
Indeed you do. And am I right that the first medal race is top 10 and the last one is the super
top
medal
5.
is just top 5?
Yep, exactly. So things can still change in the top 5 and things will still change in the top 5 until the very last race of the evening. All F50 in tonight's event. Players will be seeing the F50 boats in their dreams tonight, having nightmares about getting hooked.
I do think looking at the standings, the top 4 have separated themselves a little bit, because all 4 of those boats are all throwing out finishes that are not that bad, and so they'll maintain low scores even if they have another bad race. So I would expect that the 4 of them will continue to be near the top.
All right. Well, we seem to have some Lucas Moore fans in the chat. Want to see one Nordic boat. I'd say Donnie Gillies from Scotland would pretty much count as a Nordic boat if it wasn't so westward. And we've still got Lundberg here in the top 10 as well. And with that first place finish in his in the last race that we saw, exactly, I can see. I did not forget Lundberg. We saw him put down a very good first place finish there. And if he can do it again, it'll definitely be helping him climb back up. First places are pretty much right now. If you're 10th or lower, you need first place finishes. You need to go save every last point you get and try to stay under those 30 points. Might give you a chance to get into the medal and super medal. No, definitely not a argument I want to try to debate. The Scotland does not count as a Nordic country. Somebody living, for example, I don't know, in Southern California, it would sound Nordic enough.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I tend to agree with you there. Definitely some interesting finishes today. Just perusing the leaderboard there. I mean, it's such a strong field that seeing some people maybe underneath 20th that maybe win regattas. It feels surprising, but maybe it's not.
I see why Pepito had so much trouble. He got a DNF on his very first race, so that's definitely not going to, even though he managed to put down a first place win in the second race, it's really hard to come back from that.
Yeah, you can just see that the guys at the top are finishing, there's 12 boats a race here, so finishing top 6, I think, is probably something a lot of these guys are hoping to do every race. So getting those 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th can be, pretty tough. And you can see the consistency matters there. It's the same thing with Farley. Farley has 2 seconds and a third, but then he also has a 10th and a 12th, and he managed to get a DNF as well in there. So, it's pretty tough.
Okay, we can flip over really quickly to the second half of the results. Still waiting for second half of the event to get underway. Guess there was a quick bathroom break.
But yeah, still four more races to go before medal, so a lot of time for positions to shift. But that'll be the interesting thing is, can some of the I would have, as we talked about, who maybe we have thought would be the favorites and the people that are outside the top 10 that you would have expected to be in the top 10. I think that's an interesting conversation to have. And Mike Deja Vu, somebody that in this boat I think I would have expected to be in the top 10, and he's in 19th right now. Farley, of course, he's in 17th. Pepito, as we mentioned, he's in 13th.
Definitely, yeah. Some of these, the ESail GP finalists from last year are strangely not performing at the top level. We see Farley proficient in many classes, but Deja Vu, like you mentioned, is really well known in the F50. It's one of his.
I would fully expect to see those guys working their way up. So yeah, they have split into gold and silver.
There we go. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I noticed. We've just had a split in the fleets, which was this was planned after race number 6. The top 14 players move on to the gold fleet. So yeah, we were looking here.
So some people that
we should have probably not been talking about anybody but past the 14th place now. We're going to see everyone from Chico here to Cruisolator. We'll be moving on into Gold Fleet. There will still be races going on for the players afterwards, but we're going to be following Gold. So that is goodbye to Lord Beery, Sinjid, Naute da Costa, Roxy Joni, Umut, Wouter van der Viska, and all of the other players. GG guys, but it did not go far enough tonight. Although I say that, I see Roxy Joni in the gold fleet right here. So we may not have completely all the latest.
Yeah, you may want to update.
Yeah, we're going to update that really quick.
The updated results.
We'll bring you that in a second. Right now, the players that you will see in this race in just a second are the ones who gone to gold fleet. Did Tongi have to go? Maybe. There's 40 players. It's not easy to keep track of every single one.
So the notable votes that missed out. Tongi was in 27th. Luca, MCS Luca, Naute da Costa, Mike Deja Vu, and Farley. I think that those are maybe the two, Deja Vu and Farley, and missing out on gold there, barely. Pepito snuck in there in 13th, which is great for him.
Despite his DNF, getting into the gold place says a lot for what he's been able to do afterwards. All right, we've just got a couple seconds to go, and we will be bringing you the first race of the second phase of this event.
So of course the battle for the club teams, we've got 4 Unicorns of Love boats in there. There are 3 VIT boats.
This is something I try not to bring up too much in fleet racing, because it seems to be a little bit counterintuitive to talk about teams when we're in a fleet race event. And I don't want to mislead people and insinuate anything here.
You can be as democratic as you'd like to be, but we know everyone watching is maybe keeping tabs on that just a little bit.
This is where I see teams as, especially teams like these formations, Unicorns of Love, VIT, CNS, because I consider them also to be a team in their own right. LDLN, of course, Jackal, which is a new formation, MCS Italia, MCS France. I think something that's good that's going to come out of this, it's going to make penning a little bit more difficult. You're going to think about it twice, because all of a sudden things could get ugly very quickly.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's
in fleet
one
racing, you
thing
don't
that
want
I
to start
just
penning, you don't want to start team racing in a fleet race. And so
absolutely.
having more and more teams just makes it all the more risky. I don't know if that makes sense. To start
Well, I
doing
mean,
that kind of stuff.
I gotta say, having a stream like you existing, and inshore streams happening, and having these be available for people to watch. If people make egregious moves and are clearly team racing, people will see it and they'll know.
All right, we're happy to see people use our streams and actually help them either rewatch for 10 reasons. Ooh, now Stipe Coach now getting completely headed. Unfortunately, missing his start here at the pin end. And it's a Siri
Really
who's getting
great start.
Yeah, good start here. He's going to be able to make it to the mark and around pretty clean. Grease 9 and Pepito right behind him.
There's a little bit of a wide rounding by Green 9. I think surprising Pepito, who should have been in third but is now pretty far back. And Osiri with the great start and is going to be rounding clearly in first.
Went for a full circle.
There's two advantages to the round and tack. First of all, you have more runway on that first tack before you hit a boundary. You're also coming in with so much extra speed that doing that tack, you don't have to bear away as much coming out of the tack, and so it's why you'll more times than not you'll see the leaders going straight into a full tack around the mark. So these are almost all leaders. I mean, obviously we're in Gold Fleet now, but Sear is in 8th, Donnie Gillies in 3rd, and Fury is in 7th currently. Chico, obviously, who we've talked a lot about today, who has not finished worse than 3rd, is in 12th. So he's got some work to do to find his way back into this race. And Lundberg, the unexpected champion of the day here, is doing so well. He's in 4th. Great to see.
You can hear the fans cheering him on in the chat, and it's giving him newfound energy, newfound skills. I mean, I'm not gonna say they're newfound, but probably just learning to harness them right now as he pens Pepito and gets that 3rd place. 4th, but close on Grease 9's tail. Boats going into the downwind, and Aseri just managing to get in. Here we go. We'll be able to go all the way on his jibe.
Yeah, those three should probably just stay the way that they are for the rest of the race. It'd be surprising if we saw any other passes in the top 3, but quite a battle there for 5th. Most of the boats choosing for a left turn, but there is a big lefty coming up the course, so you'll see most of the boats tacking around, which you do. Pepito decided to go to the unfavored side, or the unfavored turn, in order to get to that left side sooner.
Got Lundberg managing to catch up on Grease 9 now. There's just 2 boat lanes between them.
It's a good battle there. And that was the result of Lundberg going around the gate and tacking immediately, getting to the favored side, while Green 9 thought that pressure maybe was going to be more of a factor and went to the right boundary first.
Here's the right wind shift coming in. Will it be enough for Donnie? Nope. There won't be any changes in first place between 1st and 2nd, but Grease 9, Lundberg, and Donnie Gillies now all three of them want that second place.
John Cardona was, I think, in fourth earlier in the race, but picked up a pen on the at the first weather mark. Just had a boundary penalty as well, so he's going back pretty heavily here.
It seems like Lundberg won't be able to catch up to Grease 9. He will finish fourth. Hidde in fifth.
Man, Donnie made a big mistake sailing into the more pressure, but was well past the ley line and almost lost his second place there. But a good job getting that back.
Well recovered. That's where his experience, does heaps. Talks more than anything he could be doing.
True.
Anything else he could be doing? Just let the
Chico looks like he'll end up with an 11th.
We've got. Yep.
No,
Results are coming in
at the mark
as we speak.
So it'll be very interesting to see because he will throw this race out and he will still be in first for sure.
So now the second race, this next race really has no room for mistakes if he wants to keep that first place. And
Stipe coach, getting also finished
11th place. That's not going to help him as well. He was in second. Let's go back to the leaderboard. Even though the results have not yet been updated, this will give you an idea of where the players stand before the results of this race that we just saw finish up will be calculated.
Yeah, Donnie's very happy. I think he's the biggest winner there. Obviously, Asir as well. He should be moving up. Asir's worst finishes in ninth. I mean, that's the thing that I think sets him apart is his consistency. He almost never finishes poorly.
All right, the next race is going to be starting very quickly. That. Will Donnie get into first? Not yet. Probably not because Chico, like we said earlier, had his worst race up until now was a third place. And the discard will be applied. But it will definitely help him out and might put him in second place. Chico finished 11th.
Yeah, Donnie will certainly be in second now. And I would anticipate that Green 9 and Asir will probably both move into the top 5 as well after that race. So really exciting to get all these boats together. And this is a very high level of play.
All right, you can see a lot of people joining us in the last couple of minutes on the chat. So we are in race number 8 now of the ESailing World Series F50 event. And we are down already to the top 14 players of the 40 participants that we had tonight. 40 top e-sailors from around the world. And they have been battling it out since, for now, it's been an hour and a half already through a pretty tough field. And now the top 14 will be trying to get into the top 10 and then the top 5. In order to take down this very first F50 ESailing World Series event. Thanks for joining us, and let us know who you're cheering for or not cheering for in the chat. Joining me tonight for this evening is Gold Room, Josh, also known as Schleg in Virtual Regatta.
Cheers. This has been fun. I've really enjoyed this. Thanks for having me.
First time on the stream, you're a natural.
I appreciate that. This has been fun. It's definitely a trip trying to watch the race and take a peek at the stream and the comments and look at the Discord and the results. I respect what you do a lot more. You always have a lot of composure when you're streaming, so good on you.
It's tough. It's mental gymnastics, but I can tell you we usually finish the streams pretty late over here in France, in Western Europe. So, when you finish up a stream at midnight, we usually take a little bit of time to debrief with race organizers afterwards as well, and with other co-hosts. So you go to sleep, you're still pretty pumped. Your brain's still going in 100 directions, and
Here we are, 20 seconds before this start.
Did we already
To
miss the
answer
20
the
seconds?
question from the chat, I think Chico got 9th or 10th in that race, so it'll definitely be his throwout.
Here we go, Stipe coach with the black sails. We can see him already positioned pretty well for this start, contrary to the last race. Acer is probably that white. Oh, Stipe coach now completely heading his boat, messing up his start. Hide Schrafford taking off with a very, very good start for Team Vit. And Juan Cardona here coming in, is going to squeeze in to get second place, just in front of Acer and. Nope, Sarah managed to squeeze ahead, and it was Pepito picking up a pen around the mark.
That was a really big mess in the middle of the line. I'm not sure who was early and ended up doing the big head up, but
that was
Steve.
Yeah, I think that was Stipe coach. We had that on the screen. He tried to avoid a boat, but got completely headed right 2 seconds before the start.
Yeah, the boat underneath. The boat that was underneath there that made the drastic move that did that. I think it was just to prevent from going over the line, but it definitely hurt a couple of the boats there. Okay, so Hoseri and Gillies again, and John near the top, which is good, and Chico in the top 5 once again. So resuming his good work in the series.
They're going all the way.
It'll be interesting to see if this lefty comes in hard. Donnie Gillies will be in a good position. And then you can see UL Lucas going far right from mid-fleet. Positions remain the same.
Yeah, he just got 2-3 knots on this area right now. Able to pass. And
left turn is slightly favored, but more wind course right. So everyone will, course right. So everyone will probably end up heading towards the starboard side of the course, which is what you're seeing. Lucas picking up a pen near the windward mark, and same with Stipe coach. It's always crazy when you see it get to gold level here, and some of the best players in the entire world are fighting it out near the back of the fleet. You know, it's so competitive.
Yeah, it really helps to stay in the front of the fleet, right? When you're up front, a lot of your problems just disappear. You sail a lot better when you're first, I find.
Absolutely. I mean, unexpected things don't happen to you. You're in clear air, especially in the F50, because you can't be attacked from behind downwind. So the passing lanes become really narrow. And so you actually have to, make a mistake really to get past. Whereas in the J70, you're going to get attacked
downwind every time.
You actually expect to get past, in a J70 because of the size of the spinnaker wind shadow. So a little bit of a risky move by Hide going all the way to the right. I mean, he's given a lot of leverage to Asiri. If there's a big left-hand shift, we could see a pass here into first. It does not look like that's going to happen though. Oh. So he made the correct call.
All right, now another good race for Donnie. Will, with his third place, looks like it's going to be a third place. Not finished yet. We'll be securing probably a place in the top 5, at least the top 10. It's a little bit more tentative for Juan Cardona. I'm not sure if Juan's right now in the top 10 with this result. And of course, I think Lucas and Roxy might be slipping out of those medal and super medal race slots. How this race affects the overall standings in just a minute. Right now, Gigi Hedish Rafford and good going to Sarah and Donnie Gillies as well for second and third place.
It's a well-sailed race. I'm curious if there was going to be some words about the start there. Just
yeah, there was
definitely
a little bit of a rumble at the start there.
But hit a really perfect start, and Assyria and Gillies with very good starts as well. Interested to see once they update the results. But I think Chico still feeling happy. You know, he threw the bad result out, and now he has first, thirds, and fifths, so he will definitely still be in the lead. Question is, how much has Donnie caught up? Because Donnie's been incredibly consistent as well. His worst finish is a sixth today, which is pretty remarkable.
Big coach, unfortunately, not holding up in the second phase of this event. I guess the baby woke up.
Yeah. His worst finish in the first bit was an eighth, and I think he has 2 11ths in the gold portion here. So
it's hard to go through a whole evening like that, especially since he's 1 hour ahead of us here in Southern Europe. So obviously, it's going to be past midnight already over there in Croatia. Not always easy to get a calm spot to play when you already have to compose with different time zones. Be interesting to see how many time zones we do have participating tonight. I think, Croatia must be Finland. Croatia must be the east. No, Turkey is going to be the easternmost time zone. And we don't have any American players or South American players, though we have an Argentinian player, AH6, that will be spanning from Turkey to Argentina, having done that as a flight. That's a 17-hour flight.
yeah, looks like gold is getting ready to start again.
This is the 8th race of the evening. Right now, we only have 14 players left. We're going to be bringing you the updated results in just a second on your screen.
Yeah, they still have not updated. Actually, I think this is the 9th race.
All right, yeah, so it hasn't been updated for race 8 yet. It's a little complicated. We apologize to the audience, but it definitely is not easy to keep all of these races because there's still the Silver Fleet races going on as well. And I'm pretty sure what's happened is that it's broken off into another. It's probably broken off into another Sail Ranks event. I'm gonna have to try to look that up in a second.
I did. I checked, and there isn't one. I think that they just haven't updated.
Okay, thank you for
that's
checking.
why I think they do need to do that. But yeah, they don't have one up yet.
We do not have the latest results up yet, and we'll try to get that to you as soon as possible. If you don't know where to look, let me drop that to you in the chat. In case you're not familiar with SailRanks.com, they are the official supplier provider of ESailing regatta results to the community or community events. This is a community-provided service, so you should definitely go check them out if you ever want to organize your own regattas on Virtual Regatta inshore or offshore. They've also got offshore functionalities to offer you. and we will be bringing you the updated results as soon as we can. We do know which nation is the best at the moment, Lee Talks, because if you were watching 2 weeks ago, and if you weren't able to watch, you can find this. You can find it on the channel or over on YouTube in short streams. Recently, the ESailing Nations League just finished up, and it was a 2.5-month event that saw over 30 teams from over 20 countries face off, and well, if you count the international team, there was 40 countries facing off in a great format, a really fun event that saw, lots of races. We had a ton of regattas going on at one point, and it's Team Great Britain that took home the event 2 weeks ago, finishing first over Team Italy, one of the Italian teams. So right now, at the current time, I think we can still say Team Great Britain, hot off their win in the ESailing Nations League, but also defending champion of the ESailing Nations Cup, would have to be, if I have to give you an honest answer, even though I'm a Frenchman, I would have to say right now, Brits have the title of the best nation in ESailing. But there's a lot of people.
Definitely at the top, yeah. I mean, obviously the Spanish, the first Spanish team is very strong as well, and the Italians, obviously, of course.
Yeah, now let's go. Now let's talk about all the other nations who probably deserve also a lot of recognition. The Italians, the Portuguese, the Spaniards have a lot of very performing players. I think probably the problem is that their talent pool is so deep that they had. Spain had 5 teams at the ESailing Nations League. Had they been able to select really the just top elements from all over the country, I think it was in the bag for Spain. But they preferred to take different approaches and have a lot of different teams, which is all good. Yeah. Made for a really good event. And
I think the other thing that you really saw with the Nations League is that practicing team racing was really important, because in my opinion, at least, I think that the French team, the Italian team, I think both of those teams had like more pure talent on their teams than the UK team did. But I think it was definitely clear that the UK team had spent a lot more time practicing team racing. And I think that came through in the actual, in the actual competition.
All right, we're in the 40-second countdown before the start. Yeah, there was definitely a great team racing component in the ESailing Nations League. It's something I really enjoyed during the event, is that there was it was just with the different formats, each race, for those of you guys for anyone who didn't watch, it had a different format at each race. There was a 1v1, 2v2, all the way up to 6v6. Here we go for the start. See where Stipe Coach is. He's good. He's ahead. He's got the best start. I really thought had brought out different styles, and obviously team management was a crucial factor. Being the right coach, choosing the right players at each event could go very far. Stipe Coach picking up a penalty here as he rounded the mark from Donnie Gillies, who's in 4th. And Chico.
Start by Chico.
Yeah.
And what you notice there too is that Chico rounded in 2nd and behind Green 9, but he sailed to more breeze and a more advantageous situation, so he will round in 1st and going straight into attack as you would expect. Donnie Gillies doing very well again.
Peter Schrafford, who just won a race, is now 12th. So, fortunately, not staying on that inertia, not keeping up his momentum. Where's Asari right now? Asari in 11th. Having to cross behind Lundberg and then behind Hedish Rafford again.
Races 7th and 8th were updated.
All right, that's great. Thanks for letting us. Oh.
Oddly, well, the results are weird though, because it's not letting Chico wasn't able to throw his 12th out. It's showing him throwing a third out. I don't know if the gold races are not discardable. It's possible that that's the case. In which case, it has
the discard was applied after the 6th race, and the gold started at 7th, correct?
Maybe there's going to be a discard for gold, but it has to come specifically from gold once they get enough races.
I believe there was only one discard in the notice of race, but I could be wrong. Right now,
I guess
Chico crushing.
Does that discard have to come from the first races, or can you discard one of the gold races? Well, Chico doing quite well.
Question going through everyone's mind right now is there still a chance after this race? It's not over yet, but will there still be a chance? And there could be in the medal and super medal counting doubles for Grease 9 and Donnie Gillies to come back now and to put pressure on Chico right now in first place. We'll have to go look over the leaderboard after this race to see if that's possible, but
interesting move around that mark. The fact that Green 9 did tack immediately, and Chico decided to go a little bit further right to gain a little bit of leverage, being a little bit more wind, and allow for a little bit more time for this lefty to come in. And he made the correct call, choosing not to tack directly in front of Giannis there either, and instead going all the way pretty much to the boundary to allow for this lefty, which is now going to come in really hard, and he's going to be punched in first. Yeah,
got that firm grip on first place, and he's not letting go.
Good coach. Or no, that was Donnie. Donnie just gave John Cardona a starboard port penalty in the middle of the course, keeping himself in fourth.
Going 6th right now.
There's not a lot of passing lanes. It's very tough to come back in situations like this. You can see Sarah was maybe in 9th and has only improved to 8th at this point. Yeah, this scoreboard's very interesting right now because at the moment it's only allowing for a discard in the first 6 races.
Oh, did Chico just lose his second place here? Did what just happened here? I think he punched VMG. He went for best VMG.
That was crazy.
I was typing in the chat and I just saw his boat go upwind really quick, and Grease 9 almost catch up to him. He managed to bring the stern back down quick enough. Oh, that was incredible. I thought he was going to lose it.
My breath for a second there for him.
Yeah, he would definitely not be happy about that.
Another great finish by Donnie. A series with a rough finish there. Another good finish by Green 9. I suppose he's back in 8th. So we'll see if these results get changed at all, or whether perhaps your discard had to come from the first 6 races. And
yeah, let's take a quick second. Go check our result page right now. So I'm reading the notice of race right now. That normally the final series, so the races that we are in right now, are undiscardable. There would only be 1 discard applied after 4 races. Apparently got calculated on the top 6. And the 2 medal race and super medal are obviously undiscardable as well. Would be nice to discard a bad result counting double, but not going to be the case.
Yep, undiscardable. Okay, so that all makes sense. So yeah, so Donnie Gillies winning because Chico had to eat that 12th and a 5th. So it actually just completely flipped the series. Even though Chico was so consistent there in the beginning, the only race he's going to get to throw out is a 3rd.
All right, yeah, I see that right now on my screen. I'm going to try to bring that up for our viewers really quick because it is quite an upset right now in the move in the results of tonight. Good evening, Smartin, in the chat. Good to see you. Here we go. Updated results on your screens right now, and Donnie Gillies, right, like you said, 21 points in first place. Chico managing to hold on to a second place, but I see his last result. Now these results can't be the latest because Chico's latest result.
Yeah, this is after the first 2 races of gold, but not the last one there.
All right.
And I think Donnie got 3rd or 4th, so they are probably just about tied.
Why does Lundberg have a DNC? That could have not just been calculated yet. It could still be incomplete information. This is being manually updated. If you own a multi-billion-dollar tech company and you want to sponsor ESailing so that we have immediately updated results, by all means, contact us. Give us a shout, DM, whatever. But yeah, meanwhile, we still have a lot of this input that has to be done manually. So congratulations to everyone who's doing that job in the background during the event, making it so much easier to follow along for us streamers. Dunberg has a DNC. I think Lundberg, yeah. Lundberg didn't make it into the gold. Did Lundberg get into gold? I don't think Lundberg made it into Gold Fleet. That's the answer to your question right there. He went into Silver Fleet. He was not qualified in the top 13. I believe. Funny, I can't see him right now racing in silver either. We'll try to keep you updated on that. As soon as we figure out where Lundberg went.
Actually, he's saying he's asking about this because he asked in the chat why he has DNCs. I do believe we did see him in gold. I think he is racing in gold.
It seemed to me as well, although the last race wasn't doing great, but right now he is not in the current gold race that will be starting in a couple of seconds, so might have had a connection problem. Not always easy to keep going for over an hour straight. Now we've been streaming, we've been with you guys for 2 hours, so you got to be able to have a 2-hour window. It's a video game. And on a Friday night, it's not always obvious. You may have the worst thing that could ever happen to a pro gamer, and that's called having a girlfriend. I can tell you. It's terrible, especially on Friday night. She wants to go out, she wants to do stuff with you, and you're like, but I've got ESailing World Series. Gotta understand. Oh, here we go. He's here. He's back.
Yep. Okay, so here's the start. Obviously, I think all eyes on Chico and Donnie Gillies, who should be...
We're glitching.
We don't know exactly, but they should be within a point or so of each other, and with a fairly significant lead, 5 points at least, over the next boat.
All right, we're sorry. Sorry about that. There we go.
Donnie setting up for a downwind pin start.
Donnie with these blue sails now, you can see them.
Yep, and then Chico up near the boat, so they'll be in very different positions.
eBay coach making a very good start at the pin end, followed by Bart Lambrix. Asere in third. Grease 9 is a little bit higher up, but Donnie is well in the race and manages to round the mark without picking up a pen.
Donnie in a pretty good spot. Chico in a pretty good spot. They'll both be top 5. In fact, I think that they will round in 4th and 5th, so very close at the top.
Oh, Chico picking up a penalty from Grease 9 as Grease 9 jibes right in front of him. He was starboard on the jibe. I was surprised. I guess something happened here. Maybe distracted him just a second. And now is putting him in a very tough spot here. Covered by Roxy Joni. Got Singed right behind him. He's got Luke S'more right ahead of him. Still putting some bad air. And Donnie is currently in 4th place. Donnie, who is leading tonight's event?
Have to be pretty happy if you're Donnie about the way that worked. That was very close at the bottom mark.
Ooh, now he's going to have to... All right, he's crossing behind Grease 9.
There's a lefty coming. And we're seeing this. The series happy with where he's at. They're actually Stipe Coach probably ahead of the series, but we'll see, I guess.
Donnie and Chico's 2 boats there are pretty much neck and neck. They're staring each other down. Chico a little bit closer to the boundary and will be forced to tack sooner. Ooh, big shift here coming in. A little bit unexpected. Putting Donnie over ley line. And the Sarah here is going to tack before going to split with... Oh, what's this going on here? Sarah putting a pen on Stipe Coach and picking up that 1st place. Impressive move, and he's not out of the race either. Let's not try to count him out too soon.
Agreed. That was a great move by him. I mean, very surprising that Stipe Coach would let them get that close. In fact, he may have had a disconnect issue. He sailed far past the ley line. Stipe Coach did. And I think may have been probably was passed also by Donnie.
Yeah, he wasn't. Those kind of mistakes really, you don't get any leeway with those kind of mistakes at this level. Obviously, Sarah not doing it to spite him. You can see right now Sarah's hacking back behind Stipe Coach. Oh, that was Donnie. I'm sorry. Sarah's still in 1st. But he had to put that pen there. He was in his jibe. It was his normal course. Ooh, Grease 9 just barely managing to pass behind Donnie and Lucas Moore coming back up now into 4th place. Unicorn of Love, teammate of Asari, doing a good race here. The 2nd upwind. And this race will determine who goes into I believe we're already there's one more race now. We're race number 9.
This is 10 and 9 hasn't been scored yet. So I think that this is the last race.
All right, so this is the last race. All right, thank you for confirming that. We got Donnie picking up a penalty and Roxy picking up a penalty. That was very, I guess, unfortunate for him.
And Chico has him pinned. Now, this is not unsportsmanlike, but if you're Chico, you need to put Donnie as far back as possible.
What he's doing.
And he did. He protected as long as he could. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Not going to be clear.
Oh, now Donnie just slamming into him.
The penalty. That was a mistake by Donnie. It was pretty clear that Chico had entered first and that he had room. So a really good play by Chico there.
Absolutely. There's experience going toward in his direction as well. I'm going to say Donnie doesn't have experience, but Chico has just as much. And now
conservative.
Not hitting the best VMG button also helps him keep the 7th position. Donnie be able to catch up onto Bart Lambrix here. Seems like Bart's boat is a lot slower than Donnie's, but he's still going to finish 9th. Probably just the game lagging a little bit as all the boats were crossing the finish line. So we are going to go into the medal race. counting double after this race. Last two races of the evening, and there will be a only the top 10 who will go into the medal race after, and only the top 5 will go into the super medal. It should be a lot easier to follow as we get into the super medal race. Only 5 boats on the water.
It'll be interesting to see once the results are up here. I think ESailing won that race, and I think finished pretty well in race 9 as well. So it should be interesting to see how the standings have shifted here. I think that Chico should retake the lead now and be ahead by a few points going into the medal race.
Yep.
I'll let you know if I see.
It seems like it would be the logical result.
Race 9 has been added now, so not the race that we just saw, but with race 9 added, Chico and Donnie were tied as we expected, and ESailing 9 points behind, and GRE 9, 8 points behind, 12 points behind. And then Bart Lambrie rounds out the top 5, 14 points behind. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Race 9 had a very good finish in that last race as well. So it's setting up to be Chico, Donnie, ESailing, and Grease 9.
Grease 9 definitely still in the top 5.
For the first place here. Obviously, 4 really strong players.
And we remind all our viewers that the next 2 races will be counting double. So as you can see, the current, this is not the most current, but at the time of bringing you this score, there's only 12 points between first and fifth. Now we could see that definitely going with bad results. That difference, that score difference, could definitely be completely flipped around.
We know ESailing won that last race, and I think that Grease 9 got second or third. So the difference between first and fourth will be tightened up. Really strong racing. And what will be interesting, I guess, also will be to see what 4 boats lose out here and will be knocked off before this medal race. They really need to fix Lindbergh's
DNC.
He did finish those races.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on right now. We are currently waiting for the medal race to start. You won't want to miss the start to that one. Currently, I think there might be some corrections going on in the background.
They're just finishing up these standings. This has been exciting racing, and it doesn't seem like, overly aggressive. I haven't seen any sort of pirate behavior. Nobody's ruining their own races, to hurt somebody else. So it's been nice to see fair racing.
Reminds me of the name of a race I saw created today on the game. No Euro Trash Foul race or something like that. It's accusing, just putting those two things together as if they necessarily had to go together. Yeah, pens, part of the game. I guess the best solution for that is just to lobby the game for them to be able to correct it now. From the latest updates that they have been bringing to the community, it's not a question of not wanting to change those rules. It's just a question of being able to find the right programmers who can understand and transcribe the rules of sailing into a virtual engine. It's not an easy thing to do because there's so many exceptions to sailing rules. If you've ever looked through a sailing rule book, you'll see what I mean. It's like
That's right. I mean, I think that they've actually done a pretty remarkable job, and I think anytime you institute a new rule into the, in code, there are unintended consequences because that rule will come into effect at
Absolutely.
times when you don't expect it to. And I think that's what they've already seen. And so they're pretty conservative about instituting new rules because there tend to be unintended consequences when they make changes. And at least at the moment, all the top guys have a pretty strong understanding of what the rules are, even if some of them are a little bit broken. I think it's really impressive. Everybody that I talk to that are high level sailors, or coaches, especially that, sailing coaches tend to, everybody says that this is such a great analog for real life sailing that it's a wonderful tool to use as a auxiliary teaching tool off the water. And I think that that's so true. I mean, as much as I think some of the players in the game like to complain that there are fixes that need to be made, I'm continually pretty impressed at how, especially tactically, how realistic the game is.
Yeah, there's a bunch of changes that are being made. You don't always see them, at least not at first, but there are a lot of things that are being brought to the game. And again, I'm just gonna say, when it's a free game, there's only so much you can say, right?
Totally.
As far as the whole experience when you're not paying for it, definitely helps to turn a blind eye to those kind of little shortcomings. It's also part of the game and part of, I would say, ESailing as a whole coming out. It's a new domain. It's something that didn't exist earlier, and it's evolving with its time, and the sport needs to evolve with whatever's going on. So sure, it's not a way that we used to sail. It's not something that we're used to seeing, but if the rules make sense, and they don't always do, but if the rules make sense, then we can also just learn to play with those rules.
100%. That's the way that that's the way I've always looked at it, for sure. And there are always a couple different camps of people that look at it different ways. And sometimes you talk to some of the e-sailors, and they want it to be as much like real sailing as possible, and they want the same rules to kind of apply. And there are other, well, it tends to be older people versus younger people, really. I think a lot of people that are more used to playing different games are like, look, the rules are what they are in the game, and you need to use them to your advantage, and that's the way the video game works, and so that's the way we should play, which is how I tend to fall a little bit more in that camp. And as the game can find ways to get the rules to act a little bit more like real life, then the players will adjust.
Try not to overcomplicate the thing as well sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
If it works like that in the game, a lot of people are going to come into the game not necessarily having a sailing background, learn the rules there. Now, there's some things you should definitely not try to do with a real boat if you're on the water, but they may also just have a better understanding of how it works when they've been able to put down countless numbers of races on Virtual Regatta. That's just how they'll pick it up. We are still waiting for the medal race to start. Thank you for bearing with us right now. There's just been a little bit of a pause in the race organization right now.
Okay, the results have been updated if you want to pull those up with all 10 races.
We will do that right away.
Lundberg's results have been updated in there as well, and unfortunately for everyone on waiting with bated breath to see if he'd make the medal race, he didn't.
Just one position short there. That's a shame. How was it? It's 2 points. No, it was 6 points, keeping him from that 10th place.
So well done to the 10 competitors that will make the finals, which include a couple former world champions and all sorts of really strong competitors. It does look like, the top three are separated by just 3 points there, because Asari, winning that last race, and Chico and Donnie getting a 7th and a 10th has really tightened this up. So Chico goes into the medal race up by 3, and Asari and Donnie tied with 35 for second, and then 3-9 just 5 points behind that, and then Stipe Coach just 3 points behind that. So I think the top 5 there are going to be the 5 fighting for first, second, and third. So it'll be exciting to see what happens there. But I think the move of the regatta there was Chico pulling the penalty on Donnie up at the windward mark of race 10, and then being able to extend and putting 3 places in between them, which flipped the top spot.
Yeah.
So pretty exciting there, and it'll be great to see what happens here in the medal race.